we got one more story that we have got to get into, and that is the Virginia governor's race, which is heating up and changing as we speak. We're going to dive into some debate clips because this has become the focal point. This debate is actually the pivot which might send a Republican back to the Virginia governor's mansion. Check this out. As we dive into this, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you like the content, please share Courageous Media with everybody that you know, and let us know that you're here in the comments. Here we go.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. I didn't hear an answer there on the endorsement issue, so I want to just make sure. Will you continue to endorse Jay Jones to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released? You have 30 seconds.
In fact, it appears that it was those who released the text messages and held them for years. So the public was unaware who had knowledge of these text messages for many years.
What did you do about it?
I learned of these text messages the day that they came out, and I denounced them as soon as I learned of them.
She denounces murder.
And
Earle-Sears,
importantly, at this point, as we move forward, the voters now have this information that was withheld for them.
You're running to
presumably
be
for
Ms.
political
Earle-Sears,
reasons. But the voters now have the information, and it is up to voters to make an individual choice based on this information.
Ms. Spanberger, I understand what you're saying about the voters, but for you yourself, do you still continue to endorse Jay Jones? 15 seconds, yes or no?
We are all running our individual races. I believe my opponent has said that about her lieutenant governor nominee.
Ms. Earle-Sears.
And it's up to every person to make their own decision. I am running my race to serve Virginia, and that is what I intend.
The Virginia governor's race is getting very interesting. Why? Because Spanberger, the Democrat nominee for governor, who has purported herself to be a moderate, is showing her true colors, that she is not moderate at all. She is extremely left. She is a complete and utter lunatic. She is a nutcase, and it's coming down to two primary issues. What you saw there was, if you didn't see our video on Jay Jones, which we did last week, the Democrat nominee for Attorney General, Jay Jones, had a text exchange with a Republican Virginia state representative talking about a former Speaker of the House of Virginia. And Jay Jones literally called for that man's execution and for the execution of his 2-year-old and 5-year-old children. Obviously, the internet blew up over this. And there were calls for him to resign from multiple places, even from some Democrats. However, what we have learned in the weeks since then is that Jay Jones has not lost a single endorsement, not from the Virginia Teachers Union, not from any of the other Virginia Democrat organizations, and certainly not from Spanberger, who has quote unquote condemned the texts, but not the man who sent them, who has not called for the man who sent the text, who called for the execution of his opponent to drop out of the race. This man is running for the top law enforcement officer in Virginia and has no place being there, given the fact that he was calling for the death of a political opponent merely for the views that they subscribe to, merely for their political positions. And not only that person, but also their family and children. And so what you saw with Spanberger, no less than 4 times obfuscate and dodge the question. She would not say that she withdraws her endorsement from Jay Jones. She is continuing to endorse a man who has called for political violence in a text string, who has called for grotesque political violence. This is who is running for running for governor as a Democrat. Now, I want to dive in. We're going to check out the Republican Winsome Spears' response to this, because I think it's excellent. This was one of her strongest points in the debate. I want you to check out Winsome Spears' response to this nonsense coming from Spanberger. Here we go.
Jay Jones advocated the murder, Abigail, the murder of a man, a former speaker as well as his children who were 2 and 5 years old. You have little girls. What would it take him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail, what if he said it about your 3 children? Is that when you would say he should get out of the race, Abigail?
Absolutely amazing stuff. Look at that face. So here you've got Abigail Spanberger smirking, smiling, refuses to look. Winsome Spears is turned. She's looking directly at Abigail Spanberger saying, hey, what's it going to take for you to withdraw your endorsement for this murderous thug? The fact that he's going to actually have to commit homicide for you to unendorse him, or was that not enough? And you've got Spanberger over there smirking, looking like a complete, entitled, smug fool. This is changing right before this debate. The Virginia governor's race was all but lost. The margin of the polling was well outside the margin error, even beyond the number of quote unquote undecideds out there. So this was looking very bad for Winsome Spears. But now this is tightening. This is almost getting to be a dead heat. There is an opportunity for Winsome Spears to actually take this race now, because Spanberger is so elitist, so extreme, and so disgusting. Now, the other issue that's driving this, the J. Jones, political violence text and her refusal to unendorse him is one. The other thing that is fueling this change in the race is Spanberger's view and her policies on LGBTQ, and specifically boys in girls' locker rooms and boys in girls' sports. So check out, we've got a clip on that I want to show, because this is going to get very ugly for Spanberger, because she is such an extreme goofball and she has no ability to actually talk on this.
Again, the question was, should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams in K through 12? You have 15 seconds to clarify.
In cases across Virginia, I think it's incumbent upon parents and educators and administrators in each local community to make decisions locally.
That's what this is about.
Ms. Earle-Sears?
There should never be nude men in locker
Oh, my goodness,
rooms.
we finally have her saying that, but you voted for that.
Ms.
Have
Earle-Sears.
you finally
My opponent
Ms.
said
Earle-Sears,
that
you are
now?
just intruding on
Are
time
we in
here.
agreement now? Are you
Ms.
going to
Earle-Sears,
tell?
this is Ms. Spanberger's time. I have a follow-up question for Ms. Spanberger. Would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex? You have 30 seconds.
My priority would be to ensure that local communities, importantly parents and teachers and educators, are able to work together to meet the unique needs of each school and each community. And that is important. And I say that as a mother of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools.
Exactly.
And as someone who used to investigate crimes against children. The way that we keep our children safe is by ensuring they are safe in schools, which includes funding law enforcement and public safety.
But Ms. Spanberger, the question was, would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex? You have 15 seconds to clarify that question.
Yes,
and my answer is that in each local community, decisions should be made between parents and educators and teachers in each community. It shouldn't be dictated by politicians.
So the answer is yes. She would absolutely rescind that policy. It took them on these 2 issues. It took the moderators going again and again, reclarify 30 seconds, reclarify 15 seconds, reclarify 15 seconds. And in both cases, all you got from Abigail Spanberger was obfuscation, dodge, word salad, dodge, obfuscation. It was absolute nonsense. But when you got down to the crux of the argument, she absolutely will endorse a homicidal lunatic, J. Jones, for Attorney General, and she will absolutely allow men in women's locker rooms. The only thing she was willing to say is there should not be a naked man in a woman's locker room. But I'm going to rescind the policy that prevents that from happening and basically allow a whole bunch of individual liberal school districts to kind of do whatever they want, and I'm not going to stand in their way. This is what you're getting from Abigail Spanberger. And I thought that Scott Jennings put this is probably the shortest soundbite you're ever going to hear, but he absolutely crushed it with this. He was on a podcast and he nailed it right about this issue. Here we go.
If I can't trust you not to put a boy in a teenage girl's locker room, how will I ever listen to your plan for taxes and the economy?
Right.
I will not, because I've already concluded you're a lunatic. Yeah. If I can't trust you not to put a boy in a teenage girl's locker room, how will I ever listen to your plan for taxes and the economy?
Right.
I will not, because I've already concluded you're a lunatic.
And Abigail Spanberger is a lunatic. Now, Winsome Sears, to her credit, actually went on Fox and clarified a lot of her rebuttals that she had in the debate. And this is the type of stuff that is now turning this whole race on its head. Check this out.
Tell you how I see it. There are parents who simply want their girl children to have the privacy and the respect of their personal spaces. And you have someone like Abigail Spanberger, my opponent, who has voted. She didn't just support, she voted that boys would be able to be in the locker rooms, full frontal, nude. And that's not what the parents want. In fact, she has voted against the Parents' Rights Act, which simply said this: if you're changing the curriculum, I as the parent need to know. If there's violence in the schools, I as the parent need to know. If you're doing political ideology, I need to know. If my child is transitioning and you're helping, I need to know. Simply put, I am the child's parent and I need to know. Now, the media, the mainstream media, isn't holding her feet to the fire on that. They're letting her go with some word salad that she recently said, which makes no sense, of course, but I am holding her feet to the fire. She's running away from her record. Well, she can run, but she cannot hide.
Absolutely. And remember, Virginia is the place where there were at least 2 incidents of SA, of actual assault by a quote unquote transgender female, so a biological male who assaulted a female in a bathroom or a locker room. There were 2 cases of that were covered up by the school district. They weren't, until they were found out and made public, no one was going to prosecute them. This is in Virginia. This is the same Virginia that Abigail Spanberger basically wants to go back to. Let's throw everything under the rug. Parents don't need to know anything, and we will transition your children without you knowing, and we will let them dress in women's locker rooms, and there will be no safe spaces. There will be no women's sports anymore because it'll all just be infested with low testosterone men who can't compete in regular sports. That's where this is going, and it is absolutely having an effect on the governor's race. Reppins 12, you are in Virginia. Oh boy. So would love to hear your thoughts on this because this is going to be a real mess if you get Abigail Spanberger as your governor and Jay Jones as your attorney general. But in the meantime, but the good news is that the race is actually changing, that this thing is turning on its head right now. Now, 2 latest polls I want to go over. So this was as of 4 days ago. Abigail Spanberger is up by 4 points. Now, she was previously up 7, but this is with almost 6% still saying they're undecided. So right now she's up by 4 with 6% undecided and well within the margin of error because of that 6% undecided. So we've got it. There's an opportunity here. Now, check this out because there was a separate poll that was released a couple days later. This is the Trafalgar Group statewide election. So right now it's even narrowed from there to 47-45 with 1.7 going for a third party candidate and still 5.6 undecided. So well within that undecided band. Meanwhile, you've got the lieutenant governor race, and then you've got the AG race, where Jay Jones is now losing to Jason Miyares. So there's some good news in the Virginia polling in the upcoming election, but we need to make sure. One of the problems is that although I like her as a candidate, Winsome Sears has not run the greatest campaign. And that's why the door has been open to Spanberger to even get in there first place. Remember, this is Virginia that elected Glenn Youngkin. Now, Virginia has been solidly blue for quite a while in a lot of their national, in the national elections. but they did elect Youngkin. And we need to get them to elect Sears now, Winsome Sears. So we've got good news in the polls. I would love to see Pressler get in there, see if we can flip Virginia back red again. Let me know what you think in the comments. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. You guys are awesome. Fantastic audience. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share Courageous Media with everybody that you know so that we can get ahead of this YouTube algorithm. It really helps us out. And if you're willing, please join us as a member on YouTube of the Courageous Army. Support the channel. Thanks so much for being here. Till I catch you next time. God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end.